Volume 2, Number 4. Grace enters the room in a crowd to speak at the live event. Amanda is the guest speaker. I would like to present to you a very important speaker as I would like to introduce to you Amanda. She's going to present the topic on domestic violence. Please give a round of applause to Amanda. Thank you, everybody. My name is Amanda Jackson, and what I'm about to share with you is my story. Since I was a little girl, I've always witnessed domestic violence, so my story is not odd or strange to anybody that's witnessed or seen domestic violence. To any young child, whether it be a young little boy or a little girl, it's very common to see the cycle of abuse starting at a young age. That's my story. It started as I had witnessed my parents who fought violently in my home. My parents divorced at my age at 13. So, as my parents had divorced, the separation, while brutal and difficult, it was a relief for me because the fighting was over, but the struggles just began. As my mom struggled without any income coming in and only benefits from welfare, it was very hard to keep our family together. We were separated into relatives' homes and shortly after that into foster care. My home was a wreck nonetheless. It wasn't her fault she couldn't keep the family together. It was a number of circumstances, as of course my dad was an alcoholic and the home life was a disaster. But because of that reason alone, her divorce and their separation was a result of years of domestic violence. So, as common as this is for domestic violence, it's not uncommon for parents to be faced with the possibility of losing their children due to domestic violence. So I sit here before you to tell you a story that I faced a world of issues without my mom's support, without a father in my home. I had lived with several different situations, facing a life of the lack of support of my parents and living in a foster home where there was a very difficult situation I was facing. I was facing a foster parent who was not only brutal, but painfully difficult to live with. As my sisters and I had lived in one foster home, and my brothers lived in another foster home, our situation only seemed to worsen as the days wore on. The abuse in the foster home slowly and gradually got worse as my sister got yanked around from one room to the other. Tragically, it got to the point that I had to call for help. So I called the foster care agency that placed us in the foster care home, and they immediately got to work removing us a month later. It was a painful month that we suffered, but we got out of that foster home. We were placed into another foster home, and it was as difficult as the first one, but not as bad, but still painful as the first one. I graduated high school and went on to college, but still I suffered the wounds of abandonment and neglect as years of trauma and abuse came to a fever pitch. I started getting into relationships into high school. And what I mean by relationships is that it seemed like everyone I attracted was either abandoning me or leaving me in situations where they didn't want to keep me around for long enough periods of time. And it seemed like my relationships were very limited. Limited in the way of they weren't going to stick around very long. Until I met this one young man who seemed to take a liking to me and wanted to help me. I confided into him. I shared with him all my worries, concerns, and he took me to church one Sunday. He went as far as telling his parents about my situation, and his parents reached out to me. This was the first time I actually was able to confide into somebody outside of my home and foster care agency. Someone that was normal, someone that had lived a relatively normal childhood, who didn't have to get switched around in foster care and foster homes, who went to school, who did well in school, who did well in life. So as we got to know each other throughout high school and college, we developed a relationship that I thought was going to last beyond high school and college. But sadly, that ended. And that was no fault of his. It was just circumstances that were beyond my control. He didn't know at the time, but I was doing what I thought was right in the eyes of what I believe was protecting him. See, my foster parents at that time were abusive towards me. So I ended the relationship with him. Now, that didn't stop him from coming back to me and questioning my judgment and my decision to break up with him. What I mean is that we didn't quite end our relationship at that point. At that point, he thought I was breaking up with him, but I wasn't. I didn't want to break up with him. I wanted him to know who I truly was. And what I was trying to do is protect him, not hurt him. I thought if you're going to accuse me of cheating on you, then it would be best that I would rather him be out of a relationship with me than in one. And I was still a virgin at that point, still. So we parted ways, and I went on to college. One night at a college gym, I met somebody that was just somebody I talked to at random. He took me out one night with a bunch of friends. And he took me back to my dorm room, and my dorm room door was locked. And he said, "Well, why don't we go back to my dorm room?" That night, he raped me for the first time. I was no longer a virgin. A lot of people, after that, it seemed like I was in a cycle, in a pattern. And I lived a life of situation after situation, even to the extremes, where I became a stripper at a local strip club and even suicidal. And I'm saddened by those circumstances to the point where I almost ended my life. Somebody came alongside me and believed in me, though. Her name was Teresa. She came alongside of me and said, "You know what? I'm going to help you." She was a caseworker. And somehow in all this, she helped me through these circumstances. And gradually I went back to college. And before you know it, I was succeeding. I bought a car. I was making money at a local restaurant. And I was getting it together again. I got my life back. And I was doing well. I was living what they call a clean life, and I had a clear conscience for the first time in years. Now, that's not to say that I didn't try calling my friend Mark, Mark back. I thought maybe, sorry about that. I thought maybe that we could maybe reconnect or talk it out again. And I found out that he had been married at this point, so there was no going back. Failed relationship after failed relationship, I finally met somebody, or somebody I thought was going to be right for me. But I took it slow, and I wanted to honor God. For the first time in my life, I had the right thing in mind. Boy, was I wrong. I didn't know it at the time, but I didn't know I was involved with a rageaholic. And what started out as a regular acquaintance relationship became a ruthless, brutal, destructive relationship. And I knew I was in trouble. I took beating after beating after beating, strangulations on a regular basis. And people told me, all you have to do is leave. But for some reason, every time I left, he would find me. Until one night he strangled me, beat me, choked, continued to choke me, hit me in the sternum. Pretty much bloody. I was on the floor. It wasn't until the police arrested him and rescued me that night that I got saved from that relationship. But it took being battered to the point where I was so incapacitated that he was hauled off to jail, and there I found freedom. So while it was tragic, I finally found my way out. Now, that was years ago. And I tell you that when I say that, as tragic as that is, the real tragedy was that I stayed in it way too long. I could have got out a few times. Oftentimes, counselors had told me it takes 7 times to leave a domestic abuse relationship. I was on the shelter hotline countless times, being counseled over relationship after relationship, from romance scams, online scams, countless relationship problems. It seemed like I was a magnet for abusive men. I don't blame all men for every problem I had, of course. I don't do that, but I was a magnet for it. I was vulnerable, I was naive and foolish. I can take part responsibility for that much. But what I can't take responsibility for is the response of an abusive man that abuses and batters a woman, helpless and incapable of taking care of themselves after they've been battered, and continues to batter and beat a woman down to the point where they can't help themselves. That's where I was at. And finally, after all that, finally the judge sided with me in my case. I got help. I got therapy. I went to EMDR. I won my case against my employer. We're even at the same location at that place of employment where I was harassed at work. I won my case there. I continued to win my cases against abusers. I won enough money that I could get a car and I escaped finally. I escaped abuse, and I was free. So while I talk to counselors, and I still thank them to this day, I called my old counselor after years of being rescued, and she barely recognized my voice over the phone, but I don't forget. I don't forget where I came from. And I thank Grace for allowing me this time. I thank you for allowing me this time to tell a story. But had it not been for art therapy and the time, the individual time that some of you have taken to be alongside me, to counsel me, to listen to me, to come alongside me, I don't know where I would be today. I don't know that some of you would reach out to me. Some people snubbed me off during that whole time that I was so desperate. I won't forget, and I know my Lord won't forget. There were people that snubbed me off when I needed them the most, abandoned me, and they were the quote righteous people, so to speak. So once you turn your face or snub the person off that you think you're somehow better than somebody else, you're no different than the next person. It could be you that next time. You don't know how domestic violence or abuse can impact you personally until it happens to you. I used to look at girls that were battered, and I looked at them with compassion until it happened to me. I could have never imagined it happening to me until it happened to me. And what I'm about to tell you is that there is hope. I have hope today. I was rescued. It took a lot, though, to get to where I'm at today. And I continue to speak against domestic violence, and I will continue to speak on domestic violence because I believe the power is in speaking out and speaking against domestic violence, because without that message, there will be more victims, and there'll be more victims that will be quiet and silenced. And with that, I appreciate the time that you've taken to listen to me speak on this very issue. Thank you and good night. Thank you so much. Grace is coming up to the staircase. Give Grace a moment here. Thank you, Grace. Yeah, domestic violence, I don't know where it ranks in as far as death by domestic violence, but I definitely know this. 90% of the murders that occur in domestic violence are when women escape domestic violence. That is an actual fact. As domestic violence victims flee abuse, those are actual figures. So when you think about fleeing domestic violence, think twice. When you flee domestic violence, the risk is always higher and higher. I'm speaking to that victim tonight that contemplates, how am I leaving? How am I going to get out of this? I don't have enough money. What is going to happen to my children? What is going to happen to me? How am I going to get my furniture out of here? How am I going to get my belongings out of this? When it comes down to it, all those things are incidental. it comes down to being rescued. When you're flat on your face and bloody on the floor, the only thing you're going to be thinking about is getting to the hospital. Everything else at that point changes from that point on. For some reason or another, all the things you think about change. A lot of resources are out there. Crime victims, and I mean domestic violence victims, are crime victims. There's crime victims compensation for victims of crime. And domestic violence victims are entitled to crime victims compensation. Something, a fact that a lot of victims are not aware of. That's how I got out of this. I got crime victim compensation. Now you have to save receipts and you have to get help and you really have to have order in your life to do that. But through the help of advocates, you can do it. And lastly, for that person that has been rescued or is living in a shelter and seeking housing and resources, luckily you have a shelter that has opened their doors to you and given you a care package, a safe place to go, a shower, I'm pretty sure shampoo and conditioner, soap, and all the necessities to start over. I know, I was there. Between the vouchers and all the things that you get help for, from a housing voucher to rent and deposit assistance, it's all there. The help is available. You can leave. I know a lot of shelters require PFAs and police reports and assistance from the local law enforcement. So don't go running away without that necessary paperwork. Keep all your important paperwork nearby so that when it's time to leave, you don't have to ever go back. Meaning, if you want to be rescued from it and you want to be out of there is a way out and there's hope. And you got to hang on. Just think of it this way. Your lifeline is that hotline. Call the hotline. The domestic violence hotline is free. It's a toll-free hotline. Reach out and don't forget that help is there. It's free. You know and I know. And Grace steps off the stage. And as the applaud was welcomed, Grace was given a warm embrace by Amanda. Wow. Michael's in the backdrop clapping for Grace and Amanda. Congratulations. What a great speech, Grace. Amanda, can I please shake your hand? I'm so impressed. You don't have to be impressed by me. Thank Jesus. It takes a lot of bravery to say what you had to say, Amanda. Said, Michael, Grace, you did it again. You did it again. Wow, Michael, what do we do from here? I say we go home and relax and have some water or drink some coffee or whatever you feel up to. Amanda, would you like to stop by our house? Actually, I'm really tired. I'm going to go back to the hotel and relax. Amanda, thank you so much for making the trip here. You spoke the truth and you told your story. It's impressive. Enjoy your little time off that you have. Enjoy Branson. If there's anything we can do to help you, if you want to visit somewhere or go anywhere, just give us a call. Thank you, Michael, said Amanda. And thank you, Grace. You really inspired me. Amanda, you're so young. You have so much ahead of you, said Michael to Amanda. I'm going to go back to my hotel room. Thank you again. Amanda leaves. As Grace and Michael headed out of the hotel room in seminar. Well, Michael, she did show up. That was very hard to do. She braved the storm. Let's go in the hotel room. Hotel room? No, I meant the Waterfall Hotel restaurant. Oh, yeah. I mean, we are here, so why not? Yeah, let's do that. Let's relax a little. Since Grandma and Grandpa are watching the kids and everything. Yeah, that's a great idea. As Grace and Michael walk into the Waterfall Hotel restaurant. Ooh, that was quite a speech, Grace. Wow. I have to admit, I didn't really think about sitting down and relaxing, but now that we're here, it's quiet, it's nice to sit back and relax. I didn't think she was going to make it, to be honest with you. She called and canceled, said Grace. Well, Grace, maybe she got cold feet. I know all about having cold feet. Sometimes when I speak, I don't know if I could speak in a large crowd and tell my life story. It takes a lot to do that. Grace, it takes a lot to get up in front of a crowd. Hi, it's Jenna. Again, how are you doing today? I'm doing good. I was your waitress a couple months ago. Yeah, how are you doing tonight? I'm doing good. How can I get you? Well, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm stumbled for words. You're a little famous, right? You're on TikTok. How did you know? Said Michael to Jenna. I saw your video. How can I get... There I go again. Can I get you started with something? We would just like water for starters. We're not going to get anything big to eat. We're just going to have something light. Okay, I'll get you water and I'll be right back. So Jenna goes back, the waitress that is, to get them some water. Grace, what are you in the mood for? Because I'm not that hungry. Well, I'm hungry. Well, Grace, if you're hungry, get something to eat. What are you in the mood for? I don't know. Believe it or not, I know because I'm pregnant, you're going to probably think I'm a little out of my tree, but I really want chili cheese and fries. What? That's not exactly healthy. Besides, I have a son. He's going to come out. Uh, Grace, if you're that hungry, get it. Chili cheese and fries? Can't you think of something else? No, I'm really hungry for chili cheese and fries. What else are you hungry for? Hot dogs too? Oh, geez. I should have said that. Okay, Jenna's coming back. Hold on, Grace. All right, here we go. All right, did you decide what you wanted to eat? Well, she's in the mood for chili cheese and fries. Do you have that on the menu? Oh, yeah, we do. It's actually on the sports menu. Is that what you like? Grace says, absolutely. Well, you got it. What are you in the mood for, sir? Uh, actually, since she's getting chili cheese and fries, you might as well get me the same thing. I mean, we're eating for three. Eating for three. Oh, are you pregnant? Yeah, we're pregnant, all right. Okay, well, your order will be up here shortly, so congratulations on your pregnancy, by the way, said Jenna. I'll be right back. Thank you, Jenna. Why would you get chili cheese and fries? Um, just curious. Because if you're going to eat chili cheese and fries, and so is my unborn son, then I need to eat chili cheese and fries with you. I mean, this is a family affair. Really? Okay. As the order comes up, the chili cheese and fries. It's actually really delicious, Grace. This is actually not that bad. Oh, as Grace just finishes off the chili cheese and fries, she goes, actually, this was very good. This is so delicious. You know, Grace, I'm in the mood to go to Walmart. Are you in the mood to go to Walmart before we go home? I want to check out the onesies out there. I saw some onesies the last time I was out there, and I want to get some newborn outfits. Okay, let's go ahead and go to Walmart. So Grace and Michael decide to go to Walmart as they leave the Waterfall Hotel and restaurant. Thank you, Jenna. By the way, here's your tip. Thank you so much. I needed the extra money. We'll see you later, Jenna. Thank you very much. As Grace and Michael walk out into the lobby, uh, we're going to Walmart. Okay, let's go. Wow, where'd that cough come from, Michael? I don't know. I hope I'm not coming down with anything. Okay. Sounds like you have a cough. Oh, no kidding, Grace. Okay, as they arrived to Walmart, Grace, I saw this cute onesie. It has a spaceship and a, a spacesuit. It's so cute. Look at this. I could buy the whole rack. It's dark navy blue. Oh, I love it. Let's get it. As Grace and Michael looked through all the onesies and diapers and all the different cute onesies, they decided to buy a whole slew of outfits. You know, Michael, this is the first time we went shopping for our son. We're going to have to do some more shopping. They decided to buy diapers, newborn diapers, and before you know it, they spent $200 on their newborn son. I didn't realize we were going to spend this much money. Well, that's okay. We're ahead of schedule. But what if they noticed that we bought all these items for a little newborn baby boy? Well, then that's our giveaway. I guess we're going to have to tell them that we're having a boy. Okay, well, then be ready for it. So that's a dead giveaway. I guess so, Grace. You're right. At least you're thinking. As they get home, they realize that that's probably what's going to give away the answer. Oh, all right, we have all these bags. Do we leave it in the car or do we take it upstairs? Well, the nursery's ready because we're going to use the old crib that Melissa slept in. So let's go ahead and just take it upstairs. All right, let's do it. All right, they may notice, they may not notice. But if they notice, then we'll just tell them that we were going to announce it soon enough. Okay, so they bring all the items upstairs to the new nursery that is ready for their baby boy. Grace, we better come up with a name for our baby boy too. Let's be a little more prepared. I think we need to name our baby boy Josiah. What do you think? Well, that's a nice name. What about Now I can't think of anything right now. Let's just sit on it and pray about it. Okay, Josiah's one. What about Daniel? Like in the Bible? That's another. I like Daniel. Plus, I have a brother named Daniel. I like Matthew too. I like Michael Jr. That would be nice. It would be nice to have another Michael around. Okay, so that's four. All right, as they carry the bags upstairs and they put the bags in the baby's room. We have a lot of bags here. Just leave them in the bags. Leave them in the closet though. Okay, so we don't have to give away the answer. The secret's not out. Just keep it in the closet. Yeah, more ways than one. Okay, Grace. I guess everybody's asleep, so I don't hear anybody, so that's a good sign. Let's try to sneak into our room without anybody catching on that we're home. Just as they were just about sneaking in their room, in walks Jenny. Mommy. Oh, Jenny. I can't sleep. What's wrong, Jenny? I need a hug. Oh, Jenny, said Michael. Give me a hug. Daddy misses you. And he kneels down and he hugs Jenny. What's wrong? I miss you. Oh, Jenny, I miss you too. Mommy? Yes, said Grace. I missed you. You were gone all day. Yeah, we were. We had an important meeting to go to. Can I stay in your room right now? I'm afraid. Afraid of what? I'm afraid of the monster. Aw, baby, you can stay here with us. Thank you, Mommy. So Jenny stays in the room until she finally falls asleep. Michael, that's the first time she's ever complained about a monster. Yeah, I've never seen Jenny complain. That's very rare that she ever complains, too. Well, Michael, when it's time to put her to bed, can you put her into the bed? Yeah. As Michael and Grace let Jenny sleep, they just leave her to sleep. And she sleeps peacefully with Michael and Grace through the night.